to another person about his secret life and get all confessions out of him. And then the other person asks the other person, he reveals his secret confessional life, whatever. That's not actually what it means. Spiritually, at least. So spiritually, what it means is that Guhya, of course, refers to spiritual knowledge, as we see Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam. The 9th chapter of Bhagavad-gita is explaining the king of secrets. That is spiritual knowledge about bhakti yoga. That's the Guhya, that's the secret. So we ask questions about bhakti yoga and we get answers about bhakti yoga. That's basically what it is among devotees. Of course, among materialists, they may have different topics of interest. They may be interested in motorcycles or riding bicycles like that. We see people in Australia riding the bicycles all over the place, so they have bicycle clubs, and then they will exchange all information about bikes and the brands of bikes which are better than the others, and which is a good mountain bike and what's a good bike for going level and what's a bike for going speed, etc., or if you want to do stunts, so they discuss all that sort of topics like that, so they get information back and forth. It's another sign of friendship. And then another one is feeding, treating another person to food, and then eating also. So when you eat together also, it's a sign of friendship. So that's material world, and it also operates in spiritual life as well. Of course, we can find more things also that you can exchange, but basically it's a matter of exchanging that's taking place on different levels here. So these are the signs of affection. It happens in the material world, and it happens among devotees also. So this is an explanation of the Sangha. We're supposed to avoid bad association. That was verse 2. And then verse 3 with the positive acts. And among the positive acts, like enthusiasm and determination, was Sangha. We are supposed to have good association with devotees. So, of course, that association is one of the major activities of bhakti. In Nectar devotion, we have 64 different activities you can do. And after explaining all these 64 angas, Rupa Goswami says, 5 of these items are most important. And these are the 5 mentioned here. Hearing, not material literature, Srimad Bhagavatam. Chanting, name of Krishna, glories of Krishna. Worshipping, Supreme Lord Krishna, the Murti, Archana, deity worship. And association with devotees. And living in the holy dham like Vrindavan or Mayapur. So one of those powerful items is this association with devotees. Very, very powerful item. We know also that it is association which brings about our commencement of bhakti. It's due to that association we get knowledge of bhakti, so we can practice bhakti. So get association with devotees, they explain something to us, they give us a book, and then we begin to hear, chant, remember, etc. Of course, we can take it back even further, and that is, how do we get the association? Because we have a little favorability or faith. How do we get the faith? We don't know. But Scripture explains the faith arises over many previous lifetimes. If we don't have faith, then obviously we're not going to seek out association with devotees. We would rather do other things. So the only way we can come to faith is by accidental association with devotees in previous lifetimes. So therefore we get association in that way, but it's accidental. And after a lot of that accidental association over many lifetimes, we get faith in this lifetime, by which we approach devotees and we ask questions, we get answers, and we start the process of bhakti. So that's the importance of association. So in Nectar devotion, Rupa Goswami gives a list of the steps. So it starts out with sadhu sangha, and then bhajana kriya, which means performing bhakti, like hearing, chanting, etc. And then anartana vritti, nishcha ruchya, sakti bhava, and then prema. So the first step after faith is sangha, devotee association. So very important. That does not mean that, okay, we associate with devotees hearing and chanting. Then we can stop the association, not associate with devotees, and we continue on our own. No. All along, as we're doing our bhakti, and we're going through anartha-nivritti, nishtaruchya, sakti bhava, prema, the association continues. It's not a one-time affair. It's a continuous thing. It may not be the same devotees, but nevertheless, we associate with devotees. It's always a cause of furthering our devotional service. So, we associate with sat, which means sadhus, with devotees. And we exchange gifts. Of course, in devotional service, it's not just normal gifts. We may give spiritual gifts. We may give books or something like that. So someone gives a book, someone receives a book, whatever, very good. Or on another level, we have charity to devotees. So some people are very enthusiastic. They like to give clothing to devotees. So often in India we see they call the devotees and they give them all dhotis or whatever, the kurtas and all this sort of thing, or chadars or whatever. So they're giving like that. And devotees receive like that. So anyway, devotees can exchange things, and you can give and receive knowledge. So this is one of the most important aspects, more than the others. Of course, some people like to feed devotees, but better than that is to ask questions and get knowledge. That's the most important sangha of all. And this is, we see this taking place. In Bhagavatam, the whole of the Bhagavatam is a series of conversations in which one sage or one devotee asks questions and another sage gives answers. So there is instruction going on, or shiksha going on at all times. And this is how Bhagavatam proceeds from one topic to the other. We see in the first canto, for instance, that we have conversation between Narada Muni and Vedavyas. And Narada Muni tells Vedavyas, oh, you wrote all these scriptures, not so good because people get confused. So you write one scripture to give the essence of everything. And so therefore he wrote Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is the teaching of Narada Muni to Vedavyas, giving knowledge. And Vyasadeva receives the knowledge. Vyasadeva gives Bhagavatam, he teaches Bhagavatam to his son, Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami receives the knowledge. Sukadeva Goswami teaches the knowledge to Parikshit. Parikshit receives the knowledge. So in this way we have continual giving and receiving of knowledge in the Bhagavatam. And throughout the whole Bhagavatam we see there are sages approaching, asking questions and getting answers, etc. So this is one of the most important aspects of Sangha. You can do the other Sanghas, fine, giving gifts, receiving gifts, feeding and eating and whatever like that, but the best one is getting, teaching and receiving knowledge. This is very essential. So that's the best part of Sadhu Sangha. And of course, giving and receiving prasadam. In the beginning of ISKCON, the prasadam part was very attractive. So we see that many devotees, you talk about the devotees in 1966 or 7 or 8, how did they come? We went to take prasadam, we like the halava, we like the sweet rice, we like the pakoras. So they often were attracted to the food. Nothing wrong with that because it is spiritual food. So it is one thing, and probably he would personally cook and he would personally serve them even. So that is a sign of affection. Giving and receiving food. But they're all important, and they're ways of establishing this affectionate relationship. But of course the important one, I think, is the knowledge aspect. So all of this constitutes association. This association is very powerful. You are who you are. Largely, of course, we could say hereditary factors are there, genetic factors are there, but it's largely determined by association. And what is association? Your first association is your parents. So the mother and father is there, and the baby is there. So the baby's first association is mother and father. And that's a very crucial association. If it's a negative association, that person throughout the life will show all the negative qualities of that association, which may result in hatred or anger or whatever. Different types of personality disorders or whatever will happen because of the negative treatment from parents, etc. So association, very important. And as a person grows up, eventually they get a little independent and they don't want to listen to the parents anymore and they run away or whatever. They're doing their own independent activities, but they associate with somebody. And if they associate with the wrong people, then they really become corrupted. If they associate with other people, then they progress in life. So association, very, very important for molding a person's qualities and character, etc. Very, very important. Okay, so here on the right-hand side we see a spatika, or a crystal. A crystal is transparent, no color. But if we put the crystal near a dark object, and here we have a black rose, if such a thing exists, then the crystal will turn black. If we put it near a red rose, it turns red. If we put it near a blue rose, it would go blue. We turn it to an orange rose, it'll go orange. So the spatika will change its color according to what it's close to. So the scripture tells us that human beings are like spatikas. And if you go near this one person who's blackish, all sorts of bad qualities, you also get the bad qualities. Like the spatika turns black. If you go near a sattvic person, let's say a white flower, like a white flower, then the spatika turns white. So you develop sattvic qualities. If you go near a rajasic person, like a red flower, then you turn rajasic, red. So the association can largely influence our actions, our speech, our qualities, etc. Very, very profoundly. We are according to our association. So the scripture says, therefore, an intelligent person will always very carefully choose his association, because this will determine how he develops. So I want you to carefully choose association and choose the proper association, then we can advance. So association doesn't just mean touching or coming close. That, of course, affects also. It is said that simply a moment's association with a devotee gives perfection or whatever like that. Association is very powerful, definitely. But in the modern world, particularly, we're constantly associating with all sorts of people. You may ride on the train or the bus and you're rubbing against all sorts of people who don't know who they are. Definitely, it's not nice. It can be contaminating, but not so serious. The more serious contamination is when we carry out these 6 activities, like giving and receiving things, exchanging food, talking together in an intimate manner, which establishes an affectionate relationship. So when we establish an affectionate relationship with a person with blackish character, then we're more bound to get affected by that bad character because of the close association with affection. So therefore we do have to, of course we have, in working and traveling and so we associate, but the more serious type of association we have to choose carefully is who we develop as friends, who will be our close friends, etc. And this will largely influence us. So we have to be careful of that. So with those, we choose good association, which means devotees, and then we can have these relationships, sharing food, sharing knowledge, sharing gifts, etc. And then the good effect of the devotee wears off on the other person. So, in this way, association is very, very important. So, here we have the 5th verse, which talks about how we associate with different types of devotees. So we have the word devotee or bhakta and whatever, Vaishnava, but they're not all the same. There are different qualities. We have, less advanced devotees, medium devotees, and very advanced devotees. So the way we associate with them also differs. Nevertheless, we respect all devotees. So, with those who are less advanced, we mentally honor. They just chant the holy name of Krishna. Maybe not so seriously, maybe sometimes, maybe regularly. May not follow all the rules and regulations, etc. So these are called the kanishtas. They may not be so interested, they may not have all knowledge, whatever. But at least they're respecting Krishna in some way. So offer mental respects to them. These are what we call the kanishtas. He should offer humble obeisances to the devotee who has undergone spiritual initiation, engaged in worshipping the deity. This is a more advanced devotee. He takes initiation, he gets mantra from the guru, and he worships the deity. And when we say deity, he's worshipping according to Pancharatric standards, rules, whatever like that. A serious devotee, following principles, etc. So one should actually physically respect such devotees, not just mentally. We serve and respect whatever like that. He should associate with and faithfully serve the devotee who is skillful in worship and his heart is completely devoid of criticizing others. So for the very advanced devotee, then he associates very enthusiastically, he serves the devotee, and of course then he gets knowledge from that devotee. So we see that the Kanishta we respect mentally. At least he chants the name of the Lord. Lord Chaitanya, he was approached by the people of Navadvip. They came to Puri one year and they say, "Who is a Vaishnava?" And Lord Chaitanya answered, "One who chants the holy name of Krishna once is a Vaishnava." Everyone was a little surprised by that. But just once you're chanting is a Vaishnava, of course. So that's kind of like this. You accept a person who chants the holy name, even if it's not done perfectly or whatever. Mentally, you can say, okay, he's at least approaching Krishna. So we give respect to him as some sort of Vaishnava. The people of Navadvip, they heard that, they were a little surprised, but they dare not ask Lord Chaitanya, what does that mean? So they went back silently to Navadvip. Then they discussed among themselves, what did he mean by that? How can just chanting once make you a Vaishnava like that? So they had a little plan. They went back the next year to Puri, and they asked the same question, who is a Vaishnava? And then Lord Chaitanya said, the devotee who worships the Lord with faith, he continually chants. He is and here's the actual quote, Krishna Nam Nirantara. That means constantly. One who constantly chants the name of Krishna. He is the best devotee. And you offer respects to his lotus feet. So this is obviously a different type of devotee. Constantly chanting. He is a Vaishnava. So therefore he gave these two definitions. One who is once chants, one who constantly chants. And when you constantly chants, then you actually worship his feet. You give very great respect to that person. This, of course, refers to the Madhyama, who is serious about bhakti, who knows all about Krishna and the difference from devatas, etc., who chants constantly. He avoids bad association. He teaches innocent people, associates with devotees, gives respect to Guru, takes diksha, etc. Okay. In relation to this, of course, then, because the word diksha was mentioned in the verse itself, the person takes diksha. And then in relation to that, Prabhupada also gives us a definition of diksha, which is from the Padma Purana. And the same verse is quoted in the Bhakti Sandarbha of Jiva Goswami. However, it is not just one verse, there's actually two verses here that describe what is Diksha. The first verse, of course, is well known, Divyaganam Yatodhadyat, from which one gets Divyaganam, or spiritual knowledge, transcendental knowledge. Kuryat papasya samshayam, and by which sin is destroyed. Papa samshayam. And thus it is called Diksha. So Diksha means it bestows spiritual knowledge and destroys sin. So many devotees will therefore conclude, I will take Diksha, I will get initiation, and then I get Divyaganam, and I destroy all my sin. And if I don't get Diksha, I will not get transcendental knowledge, I will not destroy my sin. This is not proper logic, but this is what people think. And therefore, I must take Diksha to get spiritual knowledge. However, the second verse says, therefore you offer respects to Guru, offer him everything, and accept the Vaishnava mantra by following the rules of Diksha. So, what this means is that, and it's explained by Jiva Goswami in the Bhakti Sandarbha, that when you get the mantra, which is a secret mantra, it's not Hare Krishna, because that's not, it's something that's well known to everybody. It doesn't have to be given at all. Even Ajamil's chanting name of Narayan or whatever. So Krishna's name also is free for everyone. So this is the secret mantra, part of Pancharatric rules. The Guru gives the mantra, which is secret, and in that mantra you get your Divyaganam, and you destroy your sin by chanting that mantra. So therefore Diksha means to get the mantra, and through that mantra you get transcendental knowledge and destroy sin. That is what the Diksha is. It's not just that you get transcendental knowledge and destroy sin, but it's through the mantra. So we get spiritual knowledge, we destroy sin, but through the mantra. So what is the Divyaganam? In that mantra, we get the name of the Lord, and therefore we can establish a relationship with that form of the Lord. We may get a Vishnu mantra, so therefore that becomes our Divyaganam. We may get a Krishna mantra, therefore we worship Krishna, that's our Divyaganam. And consequently, by chanting that mantra, we destroy our sin. However, if we chant the holy name that does not require Diksha, as stated very clearly in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and as we all do, and we tell everybody on the street, chant the holy name, we're not telling take Diksha, we chant the holy name without Diksha. So, if we don't have Diksha and we chant the holy name, do we get transcendental knowledge or not? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Name is non-different from Krishna. Through the name, without Diksha, you can realize Krishna and his name are not different. You can realize his form, qualities, and activities, his lila, etc. Through the name, you can get bhava and prema. Without Diksha. So the name gives transcendental knowledge. What does the name do? It also destroys sin. How do we know? Ajamil said the name Narayana destroyed all those sins, past, present, future, in 1 second. Without even having any devotion, without any guru, not even a Shiksha guru, what to speak of Diksha guru. So the name also gives you transcendental knowledge and destroys your sin. Equally to getting the Diksha mantra and destroying your sin that way. So both do the same thing. What's the difference? Name is easier. You don't have to wait for 20 years to get Diksha and all that. And pass, get a Bhakti Shastri or whatever you have to get nowadays for getting first initiation. Easier. And it's more powerful. Name is more powerful than the mantras, even the Krishna mantra. The name of Krishna is even more powerful. So, therefore, there's a little misconception. I have to take Diksha. If I don't take Diksha, I don't get prema. Not true. You chant Hare Krishna, you chant the name, you can get prema. It's directly stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yeah? So both give Divya Gyan and both destroy sin, but the more effective one is the name, which is not required, the Diksha. So then the question is, well, why do we need Diksha at all? And technically, Chaitanya Charitamrita is very revolutionary. He says you don't need it. Just chant the holy name. If we go to Pancharatric scriptures, then they will say, no, you need Diksha. If you don't have Diksha, your life is wasted. And we'll find that quote also in Chaitanya Charitamrita when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati wrote his commentary, and Prabhupada put that quote in. Without Diksha, your whole life is wasted. That's from Pancharatra. But Lord Chaitanya's movement is largely based on Nam Sankirtan, not Pancharatra. It depends on the name. Why? Because name is more powerful, and name is Yuga Dharma. So, more powerful. And therefore, Lord Chaitanya says, you don't even have to have Diksha, you just chant the holy name, and you can accomplish everything. However, that does not mean we reject Diksha, because we see Lord Chaitanya took Diksha, Nityananda took Diksha, Advaita Acharya took Diksha, Gadadhar took Diksha. All the associates with Lord Chaitanya also had initiation, got mantra, whatever. Why did they do that? One, of course, is because they followed the path of Archana, or Pancharatra, and they worship deities also. And in order to worship a deity, you have to take Diksha and get the mantra. And of course, we saw that worshiping the deity is one of the 5 important angas. So we never reject that. And we see the Goswamis and the Acharyas, they also had deities, they also did deity worship. So for that, they do need Diksha. But of course, some devotees may not do worship, deity worship at all, so they may not need it. Renounced people, like Babajis, they don't have any money, they can't buy lots of jewels and things and items to offer to the deity. So they may not do deity worship at all, so they don't need, so they get to chant Hare Krishna and get perfection that way. So Jiva Goswami says, the Diksha is for wealthy householders who can spend up their money on worshiping deities. This way they put good use to their money by offering things to the deity, nice things to the deity. So they can take Diksha. So, in any case, the process of Diksha is there, and for deity worship, and most serious devotees take that. But as far as advancing in devotional service, then the main item is Nam Sankirtan. That's our main sadhana. And of course, secondarily, we may do the deity worship. So we have both margas, Bhagavata Marga, based on Bhagavatam, which emphasizes the name, and we have the Pancharatrika Marga for deity worship, which requires Diksha. You get your secret mantra and you do your Archana, deity worship. So in this way, in the Bhagavata Marga, emphasis is upon bhakti, chanting the holy name, kirtan, etc. To chant the holy name properly, without offense, to chant purely, we need some knowledge. So therefore, we don't need Diksha, but we do need Shiksha. So we never reject gurus, but at least Shiksha Guru we need for advancement in chanting the holy name. But it doesn't require we take Diksha, which is mainly for deity worship. If you want to do deity worship, fine, you take Diksha. And if you don't, you rely mainly on your Shiksha and Shiksha Guru. Okay. In Diksha, there is Pancharatric Diksha. There's also Vedic Diksha, that is different. That is getting Brahma Gayatri, which qualifies you to study the Vedas. And the whole procedure is Vedic, but with Vedic mantras. So the ceremony for that is called Upanayanam. Anybody here get Upanayana? No? No Brahmanas here? So usually the Brahmanas will take Upanayana. Even the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas in parts of India will take Upanayana also. And they get a thread and they get their mantra when they're 5 years old or whatever, or maybe later on. Most of them don't go to the Gurukul, of course, but they at least get the thread and the mantra, and then they're considered proper to their caste or whatever like that. So this Upanayana ceremony. So that's Vedic Diksha. We're talking about Vaishnava Diksha, Pancharatric Diksha. So this does not involve Vedic mantras. This is purely Pancharatric mantras. Okay. So there's a ceremony called Panchasamskar. And these are 5 purification elements which constitute the Vaishnava Diksha. So what are the 5 elements? Tilaka. When you take your Diksha, then you're allowed to wear the tilaka. Before that, you're not supposed to wear the tilaka. Tapa, which means you get branded with shankha and chakra, with hot bronze. I guess it's more bronze or copper. They heat it up in the fire and they brand your shoulders with it, which we don't do. But in the Vaishnava sampradayas, like Ramanuja Sampradaya, they still do that. You get a name like Krishna Das, Gauranga Das, Nityananda Das, etc., Guru Kripa Das, etc. You get a name, which they also do, like in Ramanuja Sampradaya, they get a name. And most important, you get the mantra for worshiping your deity. In our case, we get Krishna and Gauranga mantra. And for the Ramanujas, they get a Vishnu mantra and Narayan mantra. And most, and Madhvas also get Narayan mantra. So you get mantra, and then you learn the process of archana. So these are the 5 panchasamskars. So we see that what we call second initiation, we get the mantra, and we're allowed to do archana. If you don't get second initiation, you cannot do deity worship. So we have that. And when we call first initiation, we get the name. We get a name. Yeah? So-and-so Das, so-and-so Dasi, etc. As for tapa, we don't do the tapa. Tilak we're already wearing anyway. So that constitutes the Panchasamskar, which we kind of do. But we see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers, they didn't concentrate so much on that. All they did was get the mantra. So Lord Chaitanya went to Gaya. He got his 10-syllable Krishna mantra. That was initiation. And Nityananda approached Ishvara Puri and got his 10-syllable Krishna mantra. That's it. They didn't do any yagya, no tapa, no tilak, or no name even. They just got their mantra. That was their diksha. Very simple. As I said, there's the Vedic diksha, which is the Upanayana and Samskar. And for each samskar, there is a Vedic yagya with Vedic mantras. And of course, for the Upanayana samskar is quite complex in one sense, more than the other, except for marriage. And that's more complex, but even Upanayana samskar is quite long, lengthy, whatever, with many mantras, etc. So they do a sacrifice with those mantras. And the father becomes the guru, and he gives the Vedic Gayatri mantra. That's Vedic samskar. So, in our system, we kind of divide the thing up, and we got first initiation, second initiation, in which the first one, we get a name, and in the second one, we get the Krishna mantra. We're allowed to do archana. Plus, after we get the mantra, we also get the Vedic Gayatri mantra. Why do we put that in there? It was not there previous to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. It was separate. So Lord Chaitanya, when he's 5 years old, he got his Upanayana and got his Vedic Gayatri mantra, etc. Later on, when he was how old, 16 or whatever, he went to Gaya, and then he got his Vaishnava Diksha with his 10-syllable Krishna mantra, separate. And that was so for everybody else up until Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. When Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur were present, many Brahmins began to criticize the Gaudiya Vaishnavas as being kind of low class, because they were worshipping deities, but they weren't even brahmanas. So, Bhakti-Siddhanta Saraswati said the Vaishnava is superior to the Brahmana. So what's this idea about saying you have to be a Brahmana to worship the deity? Vaishnava is superior. You get the mantra, Krishna mantra, you're a Vaishnava, and then you can worship the deity. Still, they don't listen. You have to be a Brahmana. So then he said, well, since the duly initiated Vaishnava is superior to the Brahmana, we can also give him the Veda Gayatri mantra to show that he surpasses the Brahmanas. And so that's what he did. He added the Veda Gayatri mantra to our initiation ceremony. So that's how that got in there. Just to show the smarta Brahmanas that we're actually superior to Brahmanas. Not that we're trying to be Brahmanas, because other places he criticizes the rituals of the smarta Brahmanas, etc. So anyway, that is the idea of Diksha. In the last part of the verse, then Rupa Goswami says that then you serve that devotee who's very, very serious. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, these Navadvipavasis, they went to Puri first year, who's a Vaishnava. Lord Chaitanya says, anyone who chants the name once is a Vaishnava. And the next year, the people of Navadvipa went there and asked who's a Vaishnava. Lord Chaitanya said, one who constantly chants is a Vaishnava and you should worship his feet. They were satisfied. And they went back to Navadvipa. But then they discussed this, why he gave two different answers. So then they went back the next year and asked the same question, who's a Vaishnava? And then Lord Chaitanya says, the best devotee is he who makes one chant the name of Krishna. He's always absorbed in chanting, and by his example, everybody else begins to chant the holy name. So in other words, he actually is able to imbue others with Krishna consciousness. He is the best Vaishnava. So he indicated there were three levels of devotees. One who chants and very casually, one who chants seriously, and one who's very absorbed in the holy name and he can teach others, inspire others. So he gave three levels like that. As so in this verse also we find three levels of conduct here. And of course in Bhagavatam we got the Kanishta, Madhyama, and the Uttama. The Uttama course in the Bhagavatam 11th canto is very advanced. He's fixed in prema, and he sees everything in relation to Krishna, so he doesn't even see demons and devotees. Everybody is a great devotee for him. Okay, so mainly we're talking about the conduct of the Madhyama. So the Madhyama mentally honors the Kanishta and gives him some respect. And he offers respects to devotees who are more spiritual, that take initiation or diksha, they worship the deity, etc. And then that same devotee, he associates with and serves those devotees and follows the instructions of those devotees who are very advanced in devotional service and don't criticize anybody else. So in other words, the conduct of the Madhyama is associate in a friendly manner with the Madhyamas, respect them very nicely. With the Kanishtas, he gives mental respect and he gives them teachings. And for the superiors, then he serves them and follows their instructions. So that's the conduct of a Madhyama devotee. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says this is the secret for your success in advancing in devotional service, how you relate to the other devotees. And you have to distinguish the different types, and accordingly you act differently to the inferior, to the equal, and to the superior. Any question there? Or should I go on further?
So how do we? So Maharaj, how do we distinguish, in order to behave to them appropriately? How do we distinguish that at what level other devotees are?
How do we distinguish?
First ourselves, and then how do we?
The Kanishtas, who don't really appreciate devotees, cannot distinguish anything. They don't even associate with devotees. The Madhyama appreciates devotee association, and therefore he has to start making these distinctions. If he is very new, it may be difficult, but as he advances, he can kind of distinguish. And at least he can distinguish himself from a Kanishta who's not even associating, has very little knowledge, and maybe not very serious about devotion, but is favorable. So at least he makes a little distinction between the Kanishta and the Madhyama. The more that the Madhyama advances, then the more fine distinctions he can make between lower Madhyamas, medium Madhyamas, high Madhyamas, and even Uttamas. So it would depend on one's advancement also. But at least as a Madhyama, we should make some distinctions.
On the other hand, again, it's not very good to discriminate, right? We should try to respect everyone.
Respect everyone nicely, but according to their level. Yeah? So we respect everybody, but we respect it a little bit differently. So mentally respect those who are less, not so serious. Give them respect of some sort. Those who are equals, then we're get much more respect. And so you offer respects, you're very friendly, and we carry out these activities of exchanging food and exchanging gifts and speaking to each other, etc. And if they're senior, then it's a little bit different because we're not teaching them, they're teaching us. They are doing the explaining, and we are receiving that knowledge. We are giving the gifts. We don't expect them to give the gifts. We feed them. It's not that we're expecting him to feed us. So in that sense, it goes more one way for the superiors, and for equals, then we have equal exchange. And for inferiors, then we're the givers and they're the receivers.
Again, Maharaj said, mantra destroys the sins, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the Hare Krishna mantra?
No, that's the other mantra. Well, Nam also destroys sin, obviously, but in the verse, that Papisa Sankshayam, Korea Papisa Sankshayam, that's referring to the Diksha, does that. So you get the mantra. Mantra has the name of the Lord. Mantra is powerful. And destroys sin. You're doing Archana also, destroys sin. All types of bhakti, of course, destroy sin.
Okay.
All types of bhakti destroy sin, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the Klesha Agni is the first character of bhakti, to destroy all Klesha, which includes karmas and vasanas and false ego. So all types of bhakti will do that. So the name also does that. So any type of bhakti is going to give transcendental knowledge. Hearing, what does it do? It gives us transcendental knowledge. Isn't it? Does it give us material knowledge? No, because it's transcendental knowledge. Hearing Bhagavatam. Parikshit hears Bhagavatam from Sukadeva Goswami. That's not material knowledge, it's spiritual knowledge. So Shravanam gives us that knowledge. So it's not just that Diksha gives us transcendental knowledge and destroys our sin. All types of bhakti do it. But the most effective way of getting the knowledge and destroying the sin is Nam Sankirtan. That's what Lord Chaitanya is teaching. It's the best process of all. Which does not require the Diksha.
And Maharaj, you said so the holy name can deliver, but then why do we take a guru? But can we understand that the guru helps us to chant the mantra properly?
Well, that's what I said. Generally, we do require, in order to chant purely, without offense, we need some knowledge. So therefore, we have books, and we take Shiksha Guru for that. Of course, Vishnu Chakravarti is a little more radical. He says the name, even without Guru, can take you to the highest level. So he says that's the case of Ajamil. And had no Guru, destroyed all the sins, and he went to Vaikuntha without a Guru. So it is possible also. But he was kind of exceptional because he had no offenses at all. So immediately his sins were destroyed and whatever like that.
But can we say that he went to Vaikuntha but he didn't get the Krishna Prema?
No, anyway, he got Vishnu Prema. Chanted the name Narayana, he went to Narayana, had Vishnu Prema.
Maharaj, Hare Krishna Maharaj, I think it makes sense. Yeah, that's Ajamil didn't have any guru, but similarly, as you did differentiate the Diksha and Siksha, Narada Muni was a Siksha guru to Mrigari and Valmiki. He didn't initiate Valmiki or Mrigari. So they attained perfection by Siksha. But the same Narada Muni was given Diksha to Dhruva Maharaj.
He gave Diksha to Dhruva, yes.
So it's correct understanding,
yeah. Because he was worshipping a deity.
Yeah.
With Mrigari the hunter, he said, you chant the holy name. That's it. No deity worship.
But did Mrigari and of course Valmiki wrote Rama, and so he would have gone to Vaikuntha. What about Mrigari?
It's not said, but if he chants the name of Krishna, he goes to Krishna. Depends on which name he chants.
No, the Mrigari.
Yeah.
So he also gone to Vaikuntha?
I don't know. What name did he get? Okay. Does it say exactly he was chanting Krishna's name or Vishnu's name? I don't know what. I don't remember one. But whatever name he chanted, then he goes to Krishna's name, he goes to Krishna. With Vishnu's name, he goes to Vishnu.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So Maharaj, how we should know that on which level we are? As you said, like there are different types of level, because everyone thinking himself as a topmost. So how can we know that we are on which level? Is that like
how do we know which level we're on?
Yeah.
Well, if we are practicing serious devotional service and we've at least read Bhagavad-gita, maybe at least the introduction, we have enough knowledge to at least clear up the main misconceptions about who is Krishna, who is a Devata, who is a Jiva, what is pure bhakti, what is mixed bhakti, what is Shantarasa, what is Madhurya Rasa. We get all the basics, like that. So that clears up a lot of our problems, so we can practice pure bhakti, which makes us a madhyama. But Kanishta has no knowledge, very confused. He may chant the name of Krishna, he may worship Krishna, but he may think he's a Devata, or he gets to be a Svargaloka, or whatever. Not clear on what he wants even. At least by getting this preliminary knowledge and through Bhagavad-gita, then we can practice pure bhakti. And so we are madhyamas. And those who are not are called the kanishtas. So that's at least that much distinction we can make. Among the madhyamas, we may not know who's superior, who's inferior, whatever like that. But as I said, as we advance, then we can begin to distinguish who's steadier, who's more serious, who is less steady, who is less serious, who has more knowledge, who has less knowledge, and then we can give respect according to their level of advancement. But we should try to be intelligent and discern objectively. And as I said, this is the cause of our advancement, because accordingly, by making the distinctions, then we can treat them in the proper way. And if we don't make the distinctions, then it's all haphazard how we treat them. And consequently, we can even offend devotees by doing that.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Maharaj, if a not so advanced devotee unknowingly or due to his or her ignorance offends a very advanced devotee or an uttama, right? What is the best way to seek forgiveness?
Well, if we know that we've offended, then we should go and personally apologize and get their forgiveness or whatever, and then avoid the aparadha in the future. That would generally resolve the issue. If they don't accept the apology, then of course all we can do is regret our action and continually chant the holy name.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Maharaj, so this distinction was for Madhyama devotees, but Uttama devotees, they never discriminate, right?
No,
So
generally they don't.
so we should only limit. So then by discriminating are we not limiting ourselves in Madhyama level? So like if we discriminate and then treat them accordingly, then are we not always keeping ourselves in that level and not leveling up ourselves?
Well, as I said, the Madhyama, in order to advance, has to make the distinctions, and that's the definition. The Madhyama, he worships the Lord, he associates in a friendly manner with equal devotees, he avoids the demons, and he teaches the Kanishtas. So that's the very definition of a Madhyama. And by that, he advances. Through that advancement, of course, eventually he can become an Uttama, where all these distinctions disappear because he has realization of the Supreme Lord, and he becomes absorbed in that, and therefore he sees the whole world in terms of that, so he makes no distinctions. So at that stage, because of this realization, the distinctions he made as a Madhyama do not in any way impede him at that point, because his realization of Krishna is much stronger. However, some of those who are Uttamas may start making distinctions for preaching. And so we have cases like Narada Muni. So he starts making distinctions. So this is a very fallen person, but I will give him mercy. On the other hand, some devotees will think there's no necessity of preaching because everybody's in prema. Even the demons are all in prema also. They're all serving the Lord somehow or other. So they have such a strong vision of prema, even the demons are there. So why preach it all? So that might be the vision of one person who's an Uttama. But then some Uttamas, like Narada Muni, they make distinctions and they start giving mercy.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, we chant in different ways, like chanting on beats, or driving car chanting, or any other way, like washing dishes chanting, cooking chanting. So are there any differences, like chanting in different ways?
Well, of course, one can chant the holy name in any situation, pure, impure, accidentally, and it all has effect. And of course, we should avoid aparads. As serious devotees, Madhyamas, being a Madhyama devotee, then we try to concentrate on avoiding aparads and chanting with attention. And of course, chanting inattentively is one of the aparads also there. So we try to avoid inattention. But of course, chanting in any way is very beneficial. But if we have a vow to chant the 4 rounds or 8 rounds or 16 rounds or whatever, we should try to concentrate on that and not distract ourselves or be distracted by anything else. So we should dedicate ourselves to serious time for at least chanting whatever we vowed for. And not just make an excuse, well, I don't have time, and then chant while you're driving, which is probably not going to be very effective because we're going to have to concentrate on driving also. So, it's not so serious. Nothing wrong with doing that, but we shouldn't really count that as serious chanting.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. You mentioned Ajamila by chanting Narayan, and then he went back to Vaikuntha because he's not committing any offenses. But isn't he committing a lot of offenses by robbing and killing and doing all kinds of nonsense to people? Why would that?
It's not technically offense. If we look at offenses are violence against devotees, or offense against devotees, violence against the holy name, violence against bhakti, disrespecting the Supreme Lord's name, etc. These are the aparads, nam-aparads.
Okay.
So, robbing and stealing and beating people in general, that is sin. So the two are distinguished. The aparad is concerning bhakti and devotees and Supreme Lord. General sinners, general living entities, and human beings who are not devotees. If he had robbed devotees, that would be an aparad. If he just robbed a regular person, wealthy man, then it is just a sin. Of course, if he robs a devotee, it's a sin plus an aparad. So, he didn't do any aparads in this life, or even past lifetimes. And thus, when he chanted accidentally the name of Narayana once, naming his son Narayana, all of his sinful reactions, past, present, and future, all the sins he committed after that point, had no effect, no reaction at all. So very powerful effect. And he had no devotion also. But no aparads also.
So stealing from a devotee is no.
Huh?
Stealing from a devotee is a no.
Yeah, well, it's double. It's sin plus it's aparad. So you get double bad effects. You destroy your bhakti, plus you get all sorts of hellish punishment.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. On Monday, when you were talking about karma and that karma has been going on for like many lifetimes and there is no starting point.
Yeah.
So how do we understand then creation? Like how did the creation start?
How the creation starts. Or how do we get our first body? What do you mean?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
creation starts, and then Mahavishnu sticks all the jivas into the universe, and then Brahma gives bodies to the jivas. How does he give the bodies? Previous, there was another universe, and the jiva had his karmas. When he enters into Mahavishnu, karmas remain there. They don't leave him. So when he gets into another universe, those karmas are there, and then Brahma gives him a body according to his karmas. So it continues from previous universe, all the karmas are there, and accordingly you get your bodies.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So for example, sometime the devotees, they do sinful activity, and or like doing other sinful activity, and the other devotees like start criticizing them because they're doing sinful activity. So my understanding is that a aparad, because we are not allowed, even they did sinful activity, if we are not allowed to criticize them because we don't have any right. But still, like some devotee, they know that the other person, out of it, because he's a devotee still, but out of ignorance or out of his situation, he did like some sinful activity, and we still like criticizing them. So is that a right?
So in Bhagavad-gita, Krishna says, even if you committed the most sinful activity, you're still my devotee. I consider you my devotee. So Krishna still respects that person in spite of the sinful activity. That is a little conditional, because he says that person, at least he continues his devotional service. And the understanding is he does not commit the same sin again. So then the Lord gives him respect. And he doesn't have that person who commits the sin does not have to do some karma kanda, prayaschitta, or atonement. Bhakti itself covers all of that. So there's no atonement. As Krishna says, when you surrender to me, I free you from all sin. Yeah? So other devotees, if Krishna respects that devotee, then the devotee should also respect the devotee. And they should not criticize. So that actually is Vaishnava Ninda. 2, 1, of course, is to criticize a devotee for previous sinful activities. Like he may have been a prisoner, he's in prison, he got out. Oh, he's a low devotee because he's, committed so many sinful activities. But if he becomes a devotee, we cannot criticize him. Then we have devotees who may not commit gross sinful activities, but do have a lot of bad habits. And when they start gradually, of course, the anarthas will decrease with devotional service. So, if we criticize those bad impressions or whatever that still remain, it's also considered to be aparad. Of course, it's not that we're encouraging him to do more more anarthas or whatever, have bad activities. We're hoping he will decrease in whatever. And of course, if due to that he disturbs other devotees, then we do have to take some action against that as well. But we don't unnecessarily criticize him simply for that. And even if he commits the sinful activity, still, if we see he's a serious devotee and he continues his devotional service, we should not criticize. We let him continue his devotional service. And if we start criticizing unnecessarily and whatever, then we commit Vaishnava aparad by doing that. So we should follow Krishna's example. He says he's still not a devotee. And so we still accept the person as a devotee.
So basically aparad means like we lost the taste in bhakti. Because basically aparad means like we lost that, the love we have for, devotees and for Lord Sri Krishna and for Guru. So aparada means like we lose the taste. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, aparad means we don't really understand the nature of devotion and the nature of the Lord's blessings that the Lord gives the devotee, in spite of the fact he may have committed sinful activity.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Maharaj, you mentioned about the that you don't need diksha to get to go back to Godhead just by chanting the holy name.
Yeah.
So places like in China, Guru Tattva is very powerful, very strong.
What is strong?
Guru Tattva, that means to have initiation. It's like
It's strong?
Guru Tattva.
Why is it strong?
because everyone knows they must get a guru, they must get initiated.
Oh, okay.
So if you say something like this, that you don't need a guru, you can go back to Godhead.
Well, I didn't say that. I said they need a Shiksha Guru.
It can be a disturbance. If let's say, if it's preached something like this, can be quite a disturbance to them.
Well,
So-
it's only what says in Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Right. So that means there's still a need of Shiksha Guru, not necessarily.
Yeah, and of course, when they talk about initiation, do they know what initiation is?
Mm.
What's the value of initiation? Do they really understand? You have to get initiated about what does it mean. So most of them don't really understand. It's just a ceremony. So basically, even for us, initiation means you accept the guru and he's supposed to teach you.
Mm.
So again, it comes back to Shiksha. So if the Diksha Guru doesn't give any teachings to you, then basically it is quite useless for us. Even if he does give you the mantra for deity worship, that's all he does. Basically, we're more interested in the teachings, isn't it?
Mm.
So he gives teachings. But then the Shiksha Guru can equal give teachings.
Mm.
And in Chaitanya Charitamrita it says, the Shiksha Guru represents Govinda, the deity in Vrindavan. And the Diksha Guru represents Mother Mohan. So, if the Shiksha Guru is representing Govinda, what's wrong with that? He's non-different from, Shiksha Guru is non-different from Supreme Lord himself, so we get full value from that.
Mm.
And as I said, the Diksha ultimately is for deity worship.
Okay.
So to preach that you have to get initiation, okay, it's good, but we should really understand what is that initiation. Yes, you have needed Diksha, the Diksha mantra for deity worship.
Right.
But if you're not doing deity worship, you wouldn't need it. But at least you need Shiksha. And if you get a Shiksha Guru who gives you Diksha, fine. And if you don't see a Diksha Guru who gives Shiksha, then you get a Shiksha Guru who gives you the Shiksha. And you can equally advance with that.
So the Diksha is not just giving a initiation, giving a name. That means there must be Shiksha also together.
Well,
with
there
it.
should be. Otherwise, it's not so useful. Huh?
Okay.
Of course, there's another thing. What is the role of Srila Prabhupada?
So Shiksha.
Well, we get a Diksha Guru and that's it. And that's it. No. We accept Srila Prabhupada as our final authority, and he's our primary Shiksha Guru.
Yeah.
So we get a Shiksha from Srila Prabhupada, and we get a Shiksha Guru who's also conveying that teaching also. That's equally important as getting a Diksha mantra from a Diksha Guru. So the idea of taking a Diksha Guru, maybe there's some misunderstanding about what actually the function of a Diksha Guru is. Okay, you get connection to the sampradaya. And if you don't take Diksha, you're not connected to the sampradaya. But that's false also. Because we trace our sampradaya through Shiksha, not through Diksha. So you can get your connection through Shiksha, not Diksha. And in fact, we emphasize the Shiksha over the Diksha. And that's why in our Parampara in the Bhagavad-gita is Shiksha, not Diksha. So the connected to Sampradaya is not necessarily a Diksha Guru.
Got to connect to Prabhupada.
Yeah. So they can connect to Prabhupada, connect to a Shiksha Guru, you connect that way. Yeah.
Our disciplic succession got both.
Huh?
Our disciplic succession got both the Acharya Parampara.
Yeah.
Got both Siksha and Diksha Gurus in that disciplic succession, no? In Prabhupada Bhagavad-gita, the front page.
Yeah, well, all the way up to from Lord Chaitanya down, mostly it's Shiksha, not Diksha. Only the last one we can say with Gaura-Kishore Das Babaji and Bhaktisiddhanta is Shiksha and Diksha. And then with Srila Prabhupada is Shiksha and Diksha. But beyond that, the Gaura-Kishore Das Babaji and Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Jagannath Das Babaji is all Shiksha, not Diksha.
And also Narottam Das Thakur.
Yeah, it's all Shiksha out there.
Yeah, Prabhupada mentioned, he says Diksha Guru is Logonath Goswami, but in the book Prabhupada mentioned Sahasrara Goswami.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu,
See, it doesn't mean they didn't have Diksha Gurus, but he's tracing a Shiksha line that's more important for us.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, coming back to that classification of devotees, what we said, like Madhyama devotee, Kanish devotee and that. But we listen that the devotees need to cooperate with each other and all. But when we categorize the devotees with the different levels, doesn't that become difficult and demotivating for the people who are not at that higher Madhyama level and to function together as a sampradaya?
Well, in any organization or in any system, generally we'll find that not everything is equal. We'll have higher and lower positions. One person teaching another. It's not that everybody teaches everybody. So here we have one is explaining, one is receiving the knowledge. One is asking the questions. We see that Parikshit asks the questions, and Sukadeva Goswami is the superior one, and he gives all the answers. It's not that Sukadeva is asking all the questions to Parikshit, and Parikshit's teaching him. So automatically we get the superior position who teaches and the one who receives the answers. So that's kind of the basic situation where we get a teacher and a disciple or whatever like that. We can't escape that. So we have people who are more advanced, they have to teach those who are less advanced. And to do that, then the lower one has to give proper respect to the other person. So that's a principle in the Bhagavad-gita where Krishna says that to approach one who has knowledge, you have to pranipat, give proper respect, and then ask the question, and then serve. Then he'll give the knowledge. So that's the system for getting the knowledge. You have to give the proper respect, and ask the proper questions, and the guru gives the proper knowledge. So we have the senior giving the knowledge, the junior asking the questions and getting the knowledge.
Thank you, Maharaj.
What happened here?
Maharaj, if you worship deities at home, Radha Krishna deities or Gauranitai, Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, without any initiation, would that be offense?
Well, it's not following Pancharatra. So if you want to follow Pancharatra, then you have to take Diksha, get the mantra, and then follow the proper procedures. However, in ISKCON particularly, Prabhupada's very lenient. Lord Chaitanya is also very lenient, so that even without the Diksha and whatever in the mantras and following Pancharatra procedure, he permitted people to worship deities in the house even without the initiation. But at least you should be serious about that and not treat them as idols and just periodically give some respect.
Thank you.
Alright, last question. For example, if Shiksha Guru is not a pure devotee, but still he gives Shiksha.
If he is not?
If Shiksha Guru is not a pure devotee.
Yeah.
And
well, technically, what is pure devotee?
The one who completely surrendered to Krishna?
Well, what is complete surrender to Krishna? So anyway, when we talk about pure devotee, we may assume Uttamadhikari, one in prema. But then the prema bhakti usually doesn't teach anyway. So then who teaches is the Madhyama. So is the Madhyama pure devotee or not? He may not be a bhava or a prema. But we say that actually everybody's a pure devotee who accepts the principle of anya abhilashita sunya, etc., the definition of pure bhakti in the Bhagavad-gita. They're practicing pure bhakti, they're called pure devotees. They may be doing sadhana, they may be in bhava, may be in prema. So therefore, one who is practicing pure bhakti, and he's a madhyamadhikari, he's the usual person who becomes the guru to give shiksha or diksha.
Thank you, Maharaj. You answered my question. Thank you.
So Maharaj, so if we have Siksha Guru and Diksha Guru, so we have multiple Siksha Guru, right, Maharaj?
Can.
And then, but whom do we have our surrender to, because we have one Diksha Guru, and then we are
We
recommended
have to treat them equally, shiksha and diksha guru. We surrender to everybody. Just as you have a temple, we have Gauranitai. Some temples have Gauranitai and Radha Krishna, and some have Jagannath also. Who do we surrender to? Everybody. And we have Prabhupada. Who do we surrender to? Prabhupada. So we're surrendering to Prabhupada, to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to Nityananda, to Jagannath, to Radha and Krishna, or surrendering to Parampara. So we're surrendering to a lot of people anyway. So therefore you can surrender to your Diksha Guru and your Shiksha Gurus.
Yeah. And Maharaj, what about like in cases where there is some sort of contradiction? Like for example, someone teaches us like from level 1, he is also Siksha Guru, and someone who teaches us things about level 2, he is also Siksha Guru. And in cases where there might be some contradiction.
In what? Contradiction in?
In the teachings. Not rather than teachings, the instruction.
Oh, well, in the teachings, generally we try to avoid contradiction, and we can really resolve that by going to scripture and talking to devotees and find out what's actually in the scripture. We can resolve that. If he's giving other instructions on how to conduct yourself or whatever, then if it's concerning bhakti also, it should be based on scripture. But then there may be various opinions. Should you chant 4 rounds or 6 rounds or 8 rounds or whatever? There may be variation there. So that's where your choice lies, who you want to, follow or whatever like that. And one's not right and one's not wrong in that sense. If the instruction is about where you should serve and how you should serve, that should actually be done in consultation with the temple. Because the guru should not act as the manager of the temple. The manager should be the one responsible for engaging the devotees in the temple, not the guru. So he should refrain from interfering in the managerial structure. If the devotee is already engaged in one service and don't do that, I want you to go out and sankirtan instead of doing this in the temple, then you should consult the temple first before he gives those instructions. Otherwise it creates confusion.
Won't it be like if we like somehow he gives us instruction and we're not able to follow it, then will it be any sort of guru
With
aparad?
instruction.
Like Shiksha Guru instruction, but for some reason because
Spiritual
of
instruction.
I mean, like, yeah, for example, either cook or clean.
No, well, you shouldn't do that. You should consult the temple. Because, you can have two people giving instructions. Your guru, Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru is saying, go out in Sankirtan, and the temple is saying, you have to do deity worship today. And then he runs out of the temple, doesn't do the deity worship, he goes out in Sankirtan, then nobody's worshiping the deity. So that creates a, problem in the temple. So he should not act in such a way as being a manager. As a guru, his responsibility is to give spiritual instruction, but not to interfere with the temple services. So he has to coordinate with the temple if he wants to do that instruction.
So in that case, if not following that instruction, won't be guru aparad?
No. We're following our managerial authority. He's our other guru.
Maharaj, in that Upanayana, in Upanayana, what is the mantra they get? Is it
Brahma Gayatri.
Brahma Gayatri.
That qualifies you to study the Vedas.
Mm-hmm.
We don't study the Vedas. We study Bhagavatam. So we don't need Upanayana for studying Bhagavatam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, it's getting late.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada ki jai.